Hi guys, it's Kirk here. This week I'm going to talk to you about tables, veneers, wood finishing. This is a good example here. Sanded it off earlier using the Merker. Just use 180 grit all the way through the process. I'll go into why in a minute. And now I've made a stain. I've mixed some hemlock and some country pine to bring the top up, and it's virtually matching the legs, which were a lot darker in better condition. The top was sun damaged, there was drinks being spilled on it, there was bleach marks, there was all kinds, but it's coming up really nice. Talk more about that later, but I wanted to talk a bit more about the table itself and tables in general. So I'm going to take the camera and switch it round onto the table to show you what I'm talking about. There's a glass beveled shelf that sits in here. It's really nice, quite good quality. These bits are solid, but when you look at the tabletop itself, and it does really weigh a lot, what is this? You know, well, it's a veneer. And the way you can tell is by actually checking. First of all, does the grain run round the edge and reflect the grain pattern on the top? And as you can see, it's a no. Then look underneath, and you can actually see that it's pieces of wood stuck together on the bottom. As you can see on the top, it's one big sheet of veneer that's been put on in a factory. You look even closer, there is a line, very fine line along the edge, that's been glued on, and there's another line which runs under this edge where they've sealed the edges down. So they're the bits that need to be fixed better than any of the others, so it's not pushed off or damaged by friction in that direction. So a lot of tables feature both solid wood and veneers as well, but it's usually the biggest bit, like this, which would be the veneer. And the reason being, one piece of wood this size from one tree is going to be cost 4 or 5 times the amount, maybe more, of the tabletop made up of bits of wood and a veneer stuck over the top to make it appear like it's one piece of wood. And to the unknowing, you know, you'd see this in a showroom. This could have been £400 or £500 new quite easily, especially with the glass table, which is quite thick. You then feel the weight of it, see the chunky legs which are solid, and the joints that have been put on them, which are reminiscent of a dovetail joint, if you know what that is. I say just reminiscent, they're not dovetails, but something like. So, you know, people go and see this in the shop, and the sign on the table doesn't say veneer table for sale. It'll say, you know, something along the lines of solid, you know, with a glass shelf, etc, etc. Won't tell you it's actually veneer. Some veneers can perform quite well, but they'll never perform as well as solid wood treated correctly. And veneers will always need maintenance. Real wood can as well, but it's harder to do on veneer because you've got much less to play with. The reason why I only use 180 grit to strip this, because any heavier grit might have gone right through it and exposed the substrate, which would have spoiled the table, and it's hard to refinish. So you've probably only got a chance with a thin veneer to restore it a couple of times. Each time you're taking off, you know, maybe half a mil, maybe a little bit more. So the more times you restore it, the less you've got to play with. This is coming nice with this stain, and when it's stained and dried, we're going to put my old favourite bar top lacquer on it, and we'll show you that. That top lacquer is really tough, very durable, very low maintenance, and you know, the table doesn't need polishing or anything like that once you've used an item like bar top lacquer on it. You know, it's really tough, and if you spill on it, it's okay as long as you wipe it up. Don't put a lot of heat on it, because you just don't do that with anything, whether it's veneer or solid wood, because that would cause problems. Other than that, it's pretty good for anything and for a long time, and probably far better than you would buy on a new piece of wooden furniture, because it's expensive. So we're going to go to that with this table with bar top lacquer, but after that we're going to go through some other options. So this is a water-based stain. I like this because it sits in the grain, not on the grain. So a thicker liquid of a different type wouldn't soak into the grain as much, hence it wouldn't bring out the grain as much as this. But we'll have a look at solvent-based stains as well as water-based stains, and we'll also have a look at solvent-based lacquers, and also the different methods of application. You know, whether it's brush, roller, sprayed, etc. And also what kind of finishes can be achieved combining different ones. So for example, the two chairs that I recently did for a television show, I used a catalyst based lacquer for spraying, and I brushed it on and sprayed, and after I built up the lacquer, I sanded it down and I actually finished it with a wax, which turned out really nice, and a nice combination of different materials giving a really good finish. But that's me for now, and we'll catch up on those other areas soon.